This is a story called The Little Monsters, Chapter 25, The Joyriders. The little monsters are playing at the swing, but they decide what to do. It's 4 weeks after Christmas, and much to their surprise, the kids all got the brand new bikes they were all looking at in a bike shop just before Christmas. They also got the new helmets they were looking at too. Stampy got a new bike and helmet, a new scooter with knee and elbow pads, a new skateboard, some new roller skates, a brand new collectible train set as he was mad on trains, some new clothes, some new school shoes, the new trainers he'd chosen, and tickets for him and his family and friends to go to the railway museum for the whole day. Stumpy got the new bike and helmet he wanted, the new scooter he wanted, some new roller skates, a new skateboard with knee and elbow pads, some new clothes, a winter coat and some Lego because he was mad on Lego. Grumpy got the books he wanted because he loved to read, the new bike and helmet he wanted, a new scooter with knee and elbow pads, some new roller skates and a new skateboard, clothes, shoes, trainers, Lego, money, coat, and model aeroplanes and cars to build. Bumpy got the lifelike dolls that she wanted, a bike, a scooter with an helmet, knee and elbow pads, a skateboard, roller skates, clothes, shoes, winter boots, trainers, baby clothes for the dolls, and to her surprise, a Labrador puppy. Creeper got some clothes, shoes, winter boots, trainers, a winter coat, a bike and helmet, a skateboard with knee and elbow pads, roller skates, lifelike dolls and clothes for them, and some new boxing gloves because she was mad on boxing. Kicker got a new bike and helmet, a skateboard with knee and elbow pads, a scooter, some lifelike dolls with baby clothes, clothes for herself, a winter coat, some roller skates, shoes, trainers and some books. Creeper got a new bike and helmet, a new skateboard with knee and elbow pads, clothes, the lifelike doll she wanted and clothes for them, some roller skates, shoes, winter boots, trainers and a winter coat. The kids had been really eager to try out their new bikes, skates and skateboards, but because the weather had been so bad, they hadn't been able to. However, it was now 4 weeks after Christmas and the weather had finally improved, so the kids were able to ride their bikes, and they did so for a couple of hours. Then the weather turned bad again, and they all went back to Creeper's house to play for a bit. The following day the weather was really bad again, so the kids all went to Stampy's house to play. Over the next few days the weather remained bad, so they took it in turns to play at each other's houses. After a few days the weather improved a bit and the kids were able to play on their roller skates for a bit. Whilst they were out roller skating, they saw some bigger kids on their bikes and they heard them say that they were going joyriding. Of course, they didn't realise that they were going to steal a car and take it for a spin. Kicker said, why don't we get our new bikes and go for a joyride? The rest of the gang thought this was a good idea. When they told Kicker's mum they were going on a joyride on their bike, she laughed and said, do you kids know what joyriding is? The kids said no. Joyriding is where someone steals a car and drives off in it. I hope you kids aren't thinking of doing that, laughed Kicker's mum. All the kids laughed and Kicker said to her mum, we wouldn't dare, mum, that's illegal. I should think not, laughed Kicker's mum. The kids all went on their joyride, but they couldn't stop laughing at what Kicker's mum had told them. After about an hour and a half of joyriding, the kids had no choice but to go back to Kicker's house because the weather got really bad again. Kicker's mum took everyone home because it was getting dark and the weather was getting worse by the minute. The kids didn't see each other for at least a week because the weather was too bad, so they all had no choice but to stay in. When they were able to go out, they went joyriding on their bikes again, much to the amusement of their parents. This time they were able to stay out for a couple of hours, but then the weather turned again and they were cold, so they went back to Bumpy's house to play. After a while, Bumpy's mum took them all home because it was dark and she didn't want them walking home alone, even though it was only 5 p.m. The next day the weather was much calmer, so the kids took their skateboards to the new skate park. However, when they got there, the gates were locked and they couldn't get in. The security guard told them that it was too dangerous for them to play there because everything was too wet and slippery. They knew that there was no point in going to the old skate park because that too would be too wet and slippery. Over the weekend the kids couldn't see each other again because of the weather conditions. On the following Monday the weather had changed and it was finally dry enough for them to go outside and play again. They still weren't allowed on the skate park because it was too wet and slippery and dangerous. They decided to go on another joyride, which again both them and their parents thought was quite funny. However, that day the kids saw the bigger kids they'd seen who were on about joyriding. They were trying to break into an elderly man's car who the gang knew really well. They knew that he relied on his car a lot because he wasn't good with his walking. They knew that they had to stop the bigger kids somehow. They tried to stop them taking the car by parking their bikes in front and behind the car, but the bigger kids got really mad and made a beeline for the little monsters. But fortunately the old man, Mr. Bluebird, heard a commotion and he went outside to see what was going on. When he asked what was going on, the bigger kids pushed him over, and then as the little monsters were helping him up and taking him inside and making sure he was okay, the bigger kids stole his car. Whilst the other kids were helping Mr. Bluebird, Kicker called the police. When they arrived, Mr. Bluebird and the kids explained what had happened. The police told the kids that they should be very proud of themselves because not many kids would do what they did. When their parents found out what they'd done, they were very proud of them. The kids promised to help Mr. Bluebird as much and as often as they could. They went round to his house almost every day to check on him. They went shopping for him and walked his dog. Mr. Bluebird loved their visits and he loved the mischief they got up to and the pranks they played on people. They not only brightened up his days, they brightened up his life too, and he couldn't be more grateful than he was. Of course, the kids sometimes played pranks on him too, like leaving fart sweets for him to eat and putting whoopee cushions on his seats. Of course, he knew it was all just a bit of fun, and there were times when he got his own back on them. End of chapter 25. Thanks for watching. Take care, peeps. Thank you. Bye.